Okay, welcome back to Stories from the Dirt, where we're going to dig in and get some dirt from Nena Barlow herself. I am your host, Avis. My co host today is Liz. And as I just stated, Nena Barlow is our guest. Nena is a rebel, a business owner, a teacher, a mentor. And we're going to try to get to know her a little more today. Hi, Nena. How are you?
Hi, good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, where are you today?
I'm at home in Clarkdale, Arizona, near Sedona. So
Okay.
I was up washing Jeeps this morning, the glamorous life of a business owner. So,
Yeah. Always something to do, right?
right.
All right, so you are a business owner. Give us a little background on yourself.
So I grew up in Southern California. My family, though, has had a home in Sedona, Arizona since the 70s. So I've been coming over here, most of my life. And then when I went away to college, I knew I didn't want to go back to Arizona, back to California afterwards. And so Sedona was a natural place to settle. And I went to work as a Jeep tour guide because I had that skill set, having grown up on a ranch and everything. I'm used to dirt and four wheeling and stuff. And so what I tell people is, I went to work as a Jeep tour guide and just until I settled down and got a real job. And 30 years later, we're still waiting for that whole settle down and get a real job part.
You still give some of the guided tours in Sedona?
So originally I was working as a Jeep tour guide. Like the Jeep tour is a big industry in Sedona where, you drive people around and they're riding in the back of the Jeep and you're entertaining them. But I wanted to I started my own company 20 years ago and I wanted to make it about people doing their own driving. And so we rent Jeeps, we do technical four-wheel drive training, and then we do guided trips, but they're not tour. It's not a tour. It's a, like a tag along style tour. The guests are still doing their own driving on those. So,
Way more fun.
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah. So, just from that little bit, it seems that you really have a passion for teaching and just getting people out and increasing their own skills and enjoying life behind the wheel themselves. How did that come about?
I just, I remember the first time that it dawned on me to start my own business. It was going to be just a side hustle. It was going to be, I was working for Jeep tour companies, and I was doing all the training for these commercial guides. And I started getting people asking me, they're like, hey, you're doing the training for this company, but, my brother-in-law just bought a Jeep. Would you mind, spending a few minutes with him, that kind of a thing. And it dawned on me that it's like, hey, yeah, like people do this for fun, want this information too, And so
Mhm.
I figured I would, I had put together a website and, got an LLC established and got some business cards and figured maybe I would do some private training one weekend a month or something like that. And within a year, it was so busy with training requests that I stopped working as a tour guide and was 100%, full time in my own company. So
Nice.
yeah. But
Um, oh, sorry.
oh, I was gonna say it's interesting at the time, the internet was relatively young and there just wasn't a lot of information out there. And the business has evolved to such a way that now, like a lot of us, there's an association called the International Four-Wheel Drive Trainers Association, of which I'm a part, and we spend a lot of time discussing it. Now it's not about trying to so much about getting the good information out there as much as it is combating like bad information that's out there with YouTube and social media. There's just as much dangerous information out there as good. And so we spend a lot of time trying to teach people how to, I guess, discern for themselves, what's good and what's not good. So,
Yeah. Well, and stuff gets posted so quickly now and like viewed so quickly. So you can see how that
right,
like things that go viral and it's like, wait, that's not good.
right, right.
So as your life relates to the rebel, it's my understanding that you are a 100% rebel, meaning you've competed every year.
That's actually not true. I did skip one year. I skipped
Oh,
2019. I just kind of needed a break, and it was very timely because traditionally what I'm doing for the Rebel Rally is I'm putting a proposal out to a manufacturer, and it's like, okay, you have this new vehicle coming out, I'm proposing to showcase it for you, and certain social media posts and media coverage and articles and events and things like that.
Mhm.
And at the time, Ram Trucks was who I was, had been competing with since the first year of the rally, and they didn't have a new truck coming out. They didn't have anything new to show off, so there wasn't. And I was like, well, this is good. I needed a year, you know. Um,
Yeah.
and I think I was afraid that FOMO would be a major thing, but it was honestly, it was great. It was really fun to watch it from the outside for a year. It gave me this whole other level of appreciation that you don't see, from the when you're competing, when you're head down competing and in that Rebel Rally bubble. It's really cool to watch it from the outside. So my husband had to teach me how to watch the tracker and use the tracker and everything. So
I'm still trying to figure that out a little bit. But so yeah, so you started competing the first year. So that was actually your first year observing it from the outside.
Yeah, it was 2019. That was, yeah. So I'd competed 2016, 17, 18. Took 19 off, and then of course every year since then, also 2020, 21, 22, 23.
Yeah. And you learned about it from Emily directly.
Yeah,
She came to you and because you rent Jeeps,
right.
correct?
Right, yeah. She was looking for someone that could provide rally prepped vehicles, so that teams could have something to rent, just like the Gazelle Rally. Of course, there's a number of rally companies that rent vehicles overseas. She was looking for something, being able to offer similar for people traveling from great distance or whatever needed to rent a vehicle. So yeah, I was like,
Nice.
yeah, not only am I in for renting Jeeps for this, I want to do it at least for the first year, I think is what I told her.
Yeah, yeah. Gotta know what your Jeeps are in for,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Okay, so also you have won the rally how many times?
So the first place or overall twice. We had a second place podium, a third place podium. Yeah. So up
Okay.
there a few
So
times.
for those of us who have written on our boards, "Will win the rally." How does that feel? How does it feel to compete against all of these amazing women
Right.
and come out on top?
Right. Uh it, it is there's a flow to it for sure. You get into this flow with it, and I've been lucky to have great teammates, every year of the rally. And uh and I think it's like even years when we weren't on the podium, it was still a great year. um like 2020, for example, COVID, when we didn't even know if we were going to be able to have a rally. And Tana White jumped in with me at the last minute, like 7 weeks before the rally, because my teammate wasn't going to be able to come, over from overseas and join the rally and stuff. And it's like, you're just thankful to be there, and I still have that feeling. I'm just thankful to make it to the starting line, every year, because, you don't know what's going to happen out there. You can be doing the best. You can have the best plots, and you can have the best route plans, and you can be nailing your checkpoints. And, there's a million things that can go wrong. And, things go wrong every day, right? Even when you win. And I think that's important. I think that's important for people to hear, is that we don't not make mistakes. We make a lot of mistakes, but it's just, how do you recover from those mistakes? And hopefully they're not, huge, mistakes, like you missed green checkpoints for the day or something like that. But it's even that you can come back from. Um,
Yeah.
it
And I think that's something that people are surprised to hear. I've said it before, Tara Lynn is one of my top mentors, and I owe a lot to my Rebel game to her. And then last year, I heard her say, "We wide missed on two blues."
yeah.
And I was like, You what? So, I mean, like, even, it's refreshing to hear that such a seasoned winning team
Right.
makes mistakes that I think some rookies think they couldn't make,
Right.
because, like, you're looking for a blue, like, how did you wide miss on it? I mean, obviously, once you've done it, you understand, but,
Right.
I think it's just, it helps to understand that, yeah, when they say everybody make mistakes, and everybody makes mistakes, and it's how you come back from it that really matters.
Right. Right.
So, you click the thing, you're at your blue. Carolyn is like, "Oh crap, this isn't our blue."
Yeah.
What happens in the car next?
Then it's a moment of, "Oh, okay, okay, what happened? What did we do?" And so, the first thing that we wanna do is fix it. We can't take it back, right? We can't, for as much as we all know that feeling, we'd love to unclick. But you
Yeah.
can't.
"Oops, didn't mean that." Sorry.
Um, and so the very first thing is like, okay, okay, then where are we? Now we have the coordinates. It's like, okay, what did we do wrong? And let's go get our blue. Let's fix it. Let's go get our correct blue so we can at least kind of, negate some of that penalty, right? Um, and so, and we've talked about this too. It's like when you figure out what you did wrong, then you can be like, "Oh my gosh, I'm such a dork," and whatever. You can laugh it off, and now you can joke about it, but you've also learned. It's like, okay, now I see where we screwed up. Okay, this is good to know. This is something I can keep in my toolkit for next time I'm in this situation. I'm gonna be like, "Wait a minute," you know. Um, the hardest ones, the ones that stick with us, the ones I like, she has one and I have one. We each have like where we don't know what we did wrong. Those are the hardest ones to get over. And it's not that we didn't get over it in the moment. We're like, okay, we screwed that up. Let's move on. Let's go to the next checkpoint. Um, but to when you don't know how did we screw that up, this match, when you don't know, that's the hardest one. Those are ones that you're like, you still, I can think of about both of ours that are I still know exactly where we were and what the map looked like and everything that we did, and somehow we still didn't get it and we don't know why, and those will stick with us.
They still haunt you a little
Yeah.
bit.
They haunt us, yeah. And it's fun. It's good to laugh about it because it's like, yeah, you need to let those things go, right? Um, but I don't know that. So, but we're just human too, so we still have our
Yeah.
pizza nose.
But there's no, "You did this," or "You did that," or,
No, there's
like,
no
no
blaming.
blaming.
Yeah, there's no
Yeah.
blaming because we're a team, right? And we truly work as a team. We both navigate. We both drive. We talk about stuff. We route plan together. And so, yeah, I mean, it's not just she's sitting over there by herself and she screwed up or anything like that. It's, we looked at it together for sure, especially if there's something, blues or blacks, things that we're not certain. Um, so yeah, it's 100%. And those two blues, that famous day where we had two wide misses on blues. What I like to say, how I like to put it is, we got all the checkpoints, including two that weren't ours.
I like that.
But one of them was, just, we had there was the state boundary and then there was the highway, and she measured accidentally from the state boundary instead of the highway, and so we drove the distance that she measured, and then was like, "Oh shit, that was the wrong line that we measured from." Okay, that's easy. Now we know what we did, easy peasy. And then the next one was me just being like, we don't. Oh, can I say that on this
You
podcast?
can. Yes, you can.
And I was like, we don't know where we are. These roads are all fucked up. So okay, I'm just gonna click because then we'll end the suspense. We'll know where we are.
Right.
We got a we got a
Yeah.
50-50 chance if this is our blue or not. And unfortunately it wasn't. And it was really easy to find our blue after that. So
After that, once
we
you know
knew
where
where
you
we
are.
were.
So, that's an interesting question. Have you ever, paid for the information? You've just can't you're looking at the map, you have an idea where you are, but you can't pinpoint it, and you're like, I'm clicking the button, I'm paying the 10 points so my day can go on.
That was the time for sure where it was like,
That was it.
we didn't know, and it was like, "Well, this is a blue." It kinda
Yeah.
matched it. We magic mapped it a little bit because honestly, at that point, we were turned around. We didn't come out the way that we had gone in, and the roads, it was, as you know, it was an area where the roads on the ground were not the same roads that were on the map. New roads had been put in, and so we kind of looked at the shape of the valley, and we, approximate distance that we just traveled from our last checkpoint, and we're like 50-50. So yeah, we paid for that. But honestly, right? You pay every time you click that tracker, you're paying a price. You paid
Ugh,
for it one way or the other.
I
But
hate to push the button.
yeah.
I hate it.
Right.
I mean, it seems like a navigator thing because yeah, I pushed the button most of the time last year. Like since Nat was navigating, I was like, "Is
Yeah.
this it?" She's like, "Yeah, we're pushing here." I'm like, "Okay." So I did most of the button pushing, and then as you and I have been training and stuff, Avis, you're like, "I don't like pushing the button." I'm like, "Okay, I guess I'm doing that again."
I hate it. I hate it. It makes my palms sweat.
Oh yeah, my palms are sweating just talking about it right now.
Same.
Seriously. Uh, but the driver in our truck, the car, or in our car, bleh, the driver is one who usually is going to be pushing the button usually, because that's a strategy, because I can get, if I'm driving, I can get out and I can push the button, um, and that gives her just that few extra seconds to, now we're, she's looking at the next checkpoint, we're getting our route plan to the next checkpoint while I'm clicking the tracker and recording the coordinates. And then we our saying in the car is, did we die? It's like,
Yeah.
do the coordinates match the coordinates on the CP guide or not? So
So, the Demos, they had a keychain for a while that said, "But did you die?"
yeah,
And that lives on my hydration pack that I bring to the rally.
right.
So, I resonate with that.
Yeah, hydration pack. I mean, I
Yeah.
know people really want to learn the skills. They want to learn to drive well and plot well and read maps well and stuff like that. But I think the skills that are the most critical to doing well in the rally are, taking care of yourself and your teammate and your car. We spend a lot of time training when I'm providing training for the Rebel Rally. As you know, Avis, is we spend a lot of time talking about pace and not, don't drive faster than you can see, and hydrating, right? So snacks, hydration is like my superpower. I got Laura Wanless turned on to this too. That's like, she's like, wow, I feel better. Really? No shit.
Yeah.
um, that,
Yeah.
and I think, that stuff is really important. It is much more critical, I think, than people give it, credit for. Yeah, especially rookies coming in and training. It's like, you got to be able to be candid with each other, but kind, and take care of yourself. I mean, you can't just be, 100%, on the whole time. You got to find that 80% pace that you can sustain.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I know Liz and I have discussed nutrition a lot.
mhm,
I had this misconception that I would want candies or sugar in the car, and my first year we had a lot of that, and I eventually like just stopped eating it. And then my second year, my teammate and I just didn't line up on our diets well,
mhm,
and so I found myself wanting more good food.
yeah,
And so I said to Liz, I was like, I have got to figure out how to have enough protein in the car, not so much junk,
right,
because I
Yeah.
just stop functioning well
yeah,
when when I start eating all the foods that I'm not used to eating.
yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, what kind of snacks do you guys take?
So she always likes to have some like cheesy, crunchy thing, like either the cheese crisps or Cheez Its, that kind of a thing. I think my thing is peanut M&Ms is kind of, um
Yum. Yeah.
Right. So if we each only took one snack, that would be hers and that would be mine. We share, of course,
Right,
um,
yeah.
but yeah, like you said, I mean, you know, I actually don't eat that much sugar. The peanut M&Ms are like kind of my secret power. About 3 o'clock, I need to make sure I've got something in me. You know, maybe it's a protein drink, or maybe it's you know, they give us a lot of cheese sticks and veggies. I could just like live on cheese sticks and veggies, I think, you know, most of the rally. So
Yeah, the veggies. I love to eat the celery and you can hear it in your helmet, you know? I like that. It's the best, it's the best.
Now I'm gonna be listening for that. I'm like and it's important
That's the
that you get
same.
your cheek pads that fit just right, because if they're too tight, you like you're trying to snack and you're biting your own cheeks, you know, so that's
Yes. Did you hear last year I accidentally put my teammate's helmet on twice,
yeah. Yeah.
and I won't do that again because I have some cheeks, and I spent the morning like this, and I was like, "I can't do it."
Yeah.
Yeah, helmet fit is it's a big deal. It's gonna make or break your day.
Now and I
Right.
put little stickers because ours matched, and then we put different stickers just right on the back so that we could figure out whose was whose.
Same, but it took me a minute to see that my sticker was on her helmet. My bad. I should have looked. I know now, look before I put on my
Look
helmet.
at
Right.
the back of the helmet. Oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
a taco dinosaur. That's my helmet.
So, Nina, there's big discussion. Some people think that the rally is a life-changing event. Other people no. What's your stance on that? Was it life-changing for you?
So, I think it's been cumulative for me. It has definitely, changed things in my life for the better. And those things are, you know, twofold. Like, number one is just we've talked about this a lot, is, like, the amazing people that are on the rally. I mean, it's heartwarming for me to know that at least once a year, I'm gonna get to spend about 10 days with just some of the most amazing people on the planet, and it's, you know, the competitors and the staff. Um, and so the just, you know, that rare air of getting to be around these amazing people. The other part is the stuff you learn about yourself, and I think, like, the first year we did the rally, of course, none of us knew what to expect, including the staff, you know? It was, um, it was, I felt, like, kinda shell-shocked afterwards, like, "What just happened?" You know? Um, and then every year, it's a different experience. I can't say that it's been the same experience twice, but every year I think it gives me something else to kind of look at about myself. Um, and it is about getting over your own shit, you know, and some people come in with a lot more than others, I think. It's learning to be accountable for your own reactions to your own insecurities, you know, being seen as, you know, we talked about making mistakes and how we all make mistakes, and we can talk about that, but I think, until you've experienced that, until, you know, you've had that feeling in the car that, like, "Oh my gosh, I think I just, you know, I just ended our rally. You know, I just made the mistake, the do all and end all mistake, and I just screwed it up for us completely." Um, you know, a lot of people, you know, they're gonna lash out, they're gonna blame everything else, all the circumstances or whatever, but, you know, regardless, it doesn't, just because you made a mistake doesn't make you a bad person, right? It's we're all there
Right.
making our mistakes,
Yeah.
and I see that in other people's cars too. Sometimes you pull up next to a team and you can just tell that there's just a lot of tension in that car, and my heart goes out to them. It's like, you know, you're fine. You guys are fine. You're wonderful. Look at where you are. Look at where you made it. You know, look at how hard you worked to get here. You know, throw it away. What's next? What's the next best thing that you can do right now? You know,
Right.
so
So, have you always been like that, or have you ever had time in the car when maybe you looked back and thought, "I probably could have been a better person"?
oh yeah, and I think that's the hardest thing, is acknowledging that, you know, is acknowledging that's like, yeah, I didn't like that part of me that just came out. Um, how can I do better? Um, so it it was oh boy, let's see. I mean, the first year of the rally, I wrecked the truck on day 4, so it was very much that like, oh my gosh, I just entered a rally, kind of a feeling. But it ended up being the truck ended up being, okay, mostly. I mean, we finished. Let me just say the truck continued on and finished the rally.
What did you, quote, "do" to it?
So it was day 4. We were tired. We were at Dumont Dunes, and we had just finished collecting all of our checkpoints in the dunes. Our next checkpoint was a green that was out at the highway, and then we had a transit after that. And so we're like, okay, we just killed it. Let's get out of the dunes and just cruise. We got plenty of time. We're tired. Let's relax, enjoy the scenery. Try to kind of recoup a little bit. And I was just kind of cruising. And the funny thing it was that I was going slower than I normally would have in the dunes because we had just had this conversation. If I'd been going the usual Nena speed, I might have just sailed over this ditch. But I was going slow, and so we came off and just kind of went kaboom, and it was like one of those where I saw tire tracks kind of going up and over, and I was like, oh, I can't quite see what's on the other side, and then it was like, oh crap, there's a 6 foot drop off right there, and so the truck hit, and we both we looked, you okay, okay, or I'm okay. The airbags didn't go off or anything because we went like this instead of like this, and so we got out. I was expecting like oil and coolant and stuff to be pouring out of the truck, and it was crunched, but nothing was leaking. So I was like, oh crap, okay, well let's get in, let's go and get to the green, because if something's going to let go, I want to be at a green checkpoint, and it was just, I let my guard down, and that whole don't drive faster than you can see, even though I was going relatively slow, I wasn't even really looking. We were looking, there was a stealth plane that was getting refueled in midair over us while we were out there that day. It was
Oh,
super
wow.
cool. So yeah, I was so yeah, I was driving faster than I could see because I wasn't looking at all. I was, driving where I couldn't see, and so we were both sore for the rest of the rally, and the truck was crunched, um, and that was ooh, yeah, it's not a game out here. I mean, it is, but it's, serious shit can happen too. So
Yeah.
Yeah, a game with real life consequences.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Again, I mean, sorry that you had that happen, but it's good
Yeah.
because I mean, you're widely respected as a top driver, not only in the rally, but in the world of off-roading. And to hear you once again be like, "Yeah, I mean, I just made this silly mistake."
Yeah.
So it just it puts it all into perspective. I think a lot of people, they think that you're at the top of your game, meaning you're not making any mistakes. Like you guys are winning
Right.
or podium, like seemingly effortless, but it's not. Like
Right.
it's hard work, it's dedication, and it's training.
Yeah, and it's finding that pace. I can't drive at race speed for 7 days or 8 days, for, 8 or 10 hours a day. I have to find a pace that I don't exhaust myself, and it's also good for the car and for my navigator, I'm
Yeah.
lucky enough that most of my navigators have been like, don't get car sick, no matter what. So
Yeah, I'm blessed with that skill. I hear you are not though.
yeah, yeah, I get woozy. It's the rough, like the trails that are rough get to me. I can ride shotgun, and navigate like when we're in sand dunes and stuff like that. But unfortunately, as you know, a lot of the trails out there are rough. So
Yeah, the smooth sand is an exception,
right.
but that's also where your driving skills super shine, so I'm sure that you prefer to drive in the sand when possible.
It's fun. It's usually fun. Terralyn and I were talking about that, and it's become, Glamis is super fun, but during the rally, it's work. It's like we're almost like, okay, instead of looking forward to Glamis, it's like, okay, now it's go to work time.
Here we
So
go, get it done.
yeah, yeah.
So did you grow up going to the Glamis sand dunes and driving in them?
I did. I grew up in Palm Springs area, so just we were just a couple hours away, and we didn't go like all the time, but enough, that I had significant experience in the sand. And then we started getting requests for women who wanted to train for the Gazelle Rally. This was around 2009, I think 2010. We started getting requests, and so I kind of got into it on a commercial standpoint instead of just recreation. So
So, it's my understanding the Gazelle, its shortest distance
yeah,
wins, which is different from the Rebel.
very different. Yeah,
Um, so then when you're teaching your sand driving,
mhm,
are you teaching it differently
yeah.
because the objective is
Yeah.
different?
Yeah, we don't have and we haven't had any gazelles, for a while. It's like since the Rebel Rally started, I think, most of the teams are focusing on doing a Rebel Rally that we're training now, but we wouldn't ever have them in the same class because, yeah, in the Rebel, we're teaching you to drive smooth and make smart choices, don't drive where you can't see, all of that stuff, and how do you find your way through when you are driving in cursive, right? When you're not driving in a straight line, how are you going to find your way to those checkpoints? So that's their training for the Rebel Rally. And the Gazelle Rally, like you said, it's the shortest distance. And so we're training to either drive straight, so you're beating yourself and your car up pretty good if you're, going up and down the dunes like this. Um, or you're making the smallest vector changes possible, to keep your distances minimal. So yeah, different style of driving. It makes me not want to ever. I thought at one point that I would go compete in the Gazelle Rally, but now I'm not that interested in it. I think it would just be painful, physically painful to drive like that. It's really fun when you're in the big dunes and you can get into that flow. So
Yeah, fun. That's so fun.
yeah.
No.
Would you compete
It's
in like in another style of rally? Because you're saying no to Gazelle, that's not as interesting, but
It is, well, it's Map and Compass, so that's the
Mhm.
same. It's an all women's rally. And of course Emily Miller. That was actually when I first kind of became Emily Miller. I think it was 2009. I think when she competed in the Gazelle Rally, and because it was mostly French women. There it wasn't something that American women were doing. And yeah, but it's Map and Compass. It's 9 days out in the desert, in Morocco, and but yeah, shortest distance wins. And she had some bad experiences. I mean, one of the things I love about the Rebel Rally is because of experiences that her and Chrissy had in other rallies, they know what it feels like when you feel like things weren't fair. And I have absolute faith that they're going to work stuff out. We've had things come up almost every year. Something unexpected, comes up. Like we had, somebody broke down in the middle of the timed enduro a couple years ago, and so all the cars are backed up. Everybody's freaking out, and I'm like, I know they're gonna make it right. I know I'm not gonna stress out about it. What can we do right now, that is the most useful? And the first thing was like get out of the other team's way, because now that we got this broke down car out of the way, there's other teams that are maybe on their time. And so we want to stay out of their way. And the next thing is, okay, well, let's just get out here and let's practice. I mean, we'll start our time over. Just add the 6 minutes or whatever, and let's see if we can, run the course on time the way it was supposed to be, even though we know we're completely SOL at this point. So
that was a great way to look at things, though. Instead of just being like, "Oh, we're just stuck. What do we do?" It was like, "Oh no, how
yeah,
can we use this for the best of our time, our
right,
abilities, and everybody else?" Like,
right. And actually, we had another enduro. We had another. This was a mistake that we made. Was it this? Yeah, this past year, 2023, where we missed a turn we took a wrong turn early on. Like it was, there was, it looked like there was the second right we were supposed to take, and there was actually like three rights. And anyway, so we missed a turn. We got a couple kilometers, further down, and she's like, "Okay, continue straight through the next intersection." I'm like, "There's no straight. There's no straight." I just stopped. I was like, "There's no straight. Where are we?" And then and she very quickly realized, and I didn't know at the time. I didn't understand. I was like, I don't know where we are, but there's no straight, this isn't right, and the pictures didn't match, and stuff like that. And she's like, okay. So she figured out very quickly, we just need to go back to where we turned, because we had gone straight for the last several waypoints. And so she's like, okay, we're good, just going to go back to where we turned. And I'm like, I don't know how you figured that out, but great. How do I get there? I don't know where we are.
Turn around and book
Yeah,
it.
and so we turned around, we booked it. She's like, "This is it. Okay, okay, there's our turn." And then, and then we got on course, and she's like, rally time. We got to make up time. And we did. We missed the first timed checkpoint, but we got the next three, and so we were happy, considering that, like, we, we completely got off course and still managed to get back on course and get points.
Yeah.
I was happy we got any points, right? And we
Yeah.
were talking to one of the rookie teams about it afterwards, and they did the same exact thing that we did, but they just stopped and gave up. And they're like, it didn't even occur to us to keep trying to, like, go try to figure
Yeah.
out and get back on course. It didn't even occur to us. So
I mean, some of the, how should I say, most fun I've had on the rally is when we have missed a turn and it's like, okay, the prescribed speed is this, but I need you to go as fast as you are comfortable going because
right,
we need to make time.
right,
That is exhilarating.
yeah.
So I'm curious, when did you start navigating? Like, did you do that kind of like your first year you drove and navigated, or was that later on?
Um, so, uh, so I've always been interested in navigating. I've always used paper maps, my whole life. Partly because, we didn't have really good GPS for a long, we didn't have any GPS when I was growing up. And then, uh, but the precision navigating, using map rulers and stuff, that was new for the rally. And I knew the first rally that, I've always had teammates that were good drivers also, and so I thought it was a strength that both teammates could do both jobs.
Mhm.
I always felt like that was important. At the very least, even if you never traded seats the whole rally, at the very least, you can be helpful to each other. You can be more supportive of each other, and certainly, more understanding what that person is doing on the other side of the center console there, right? So, um,
Yeah.
yeah, but typically, I'm trying to think if I've been allowed to navigate.
Like the word allowed in there.
Allowed, yes, with Tara Lynn, it's very much allowed to navigate. Like the first year that we rallied together, um I think it was like at the end of day one, it was like, okay, we're gonna switch. We've got like one more checkpoint and then base camp or something like that. And it was like, okay, I'm all excited, and I get in the passenger seat, and I'm in the map, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna go straight for 9 kilometers, and we're gonna click, and then we're gonna go straight for 12 kilometers and get to base camp. I'm like, "That's it? This is what you give me?" It's like 2 clicks on the
Set you
thing,
up for that one.
great code.
Perfect. Perfect. Liz and I have talked about switching a little, and if
Yeah.
I could have those driving instructions, that would be great for me. The opposite is true for me. I would like to try driving, but I would like to go straight.
Yeah.
Perfect, Liz, I can handle that.
So, one of the things that, I think we've talked about this too in the past is that, there's navigating to the checkpoints, and then there's the being in the navigator seat during the timed enduros, right?
Yeah.
Those are 2 different things. I do the math. on the enduros, but typically I've always driven and she's always, navigated. And I wanted to train. I trained really hard. It was not, that was a right seat job that I didn't get. I was not good at it. I couldn't get the communication down. I felt like I was just all over the place and, trying to do all these different things. And so last year at this time, I started practicing. We've got some great local ladies here in Arizona, Laura Moore and Peg Eaton and Paula Burr. And so we would get together and practice some timed enduros. And I was like, I'm going to make these my pitch. I really want to, I want to get good in the right seat at these. And so that not only like I felt like, made me a better teammate, it really made me understand the enduros way better, even as the driver, just who needs to do what, and more importantly, what you shouldn't be doing, so.
Yeah, I had opportunity to sit in both seats last year in some training, and, yeah, you're right, like, switching seats definitely brings a lot of enlightenment.
Enlightenment, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
um, and yeah, it's I found from my first year to my second year, like, I had a really natural communication with my first driver, and with my second driver, it took a lot more work, so
Mhm.
it's very, personality dependent as well as skill dependent.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
it's
that's
it's
that
hard. I mean,
that's the
Liz
trick.
is yeah, yeah. Liz has done her first year and she's going into her second year. And they always say, as your rookie year, you don't know what you don't know. But I think coming into your second and subsequent years, there's still stuff that like you assumed from
Right.
your rookie year will carry over to your following years. And then you get into a new year and you're like, oh yeah, that is not it.
Well, and working with different partners and different people and stuff and realizing, because I think, Avis, you and when I'd signed up, Nat and I weren't partners yet. So you had kind of gotten me going just on like practicing some little enduros and some random stuff. And so I got used to how you were talking to me. And then Nat and I tried to do it. And we're just like, it was like we couldn't figure each other out because I was like, I need you to count me down. And I don't know what Avis did. And it was like we were a mess, and it took us so much work to get to the point where like we figured out our communication and we could finally do it. But I mean, everyone's a little different.
Yeah. Even like just how do you tell somebody to take a right turn?
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Right,
some people wanna know how many degrees it is, some people wanna know sharp, extreme,
right.
over your shoulder, so
How
it's
many
crazy
bushes
sometimes.
are there, I mean,
Yeah, yeah. My first year, when we were doing enduros, Tara, my driver, she was like, "I need you to describe the pictures to me," and I was
right,
like, "Okay, we're going by a tree." I was like, "Does that help?" And she's like, "It does." And I was like, "Okay, I'm happy to tell you what the picture looks like,
right.
including the trees." I was describing the roads, but not, like, the trees. So, yeah, stuff like that. Um, so, historically, people believe that from the inception of the rally to today, it's not only gotten progressively harder each year,
Mhm.
but the rate at which it gets harder each day has like kind of taken a sharper curve. What's your opinion on that?
I would agree that it's become, I think, it's become harder each year, and that, Emily, of course, takes great pride in coming up with new twists every year, right? And this last year, we're like, there was too many new twists for one year. Save some of them, but it keeps us on our toes, and of course, it keeps us up at nights trying to guess what could possibly be done. What is she going to do to us this year?
Right.
um, but so that's all part of the fun, right? The anticipation of it. But uh, I don't know if it does. I think it's always gotten progressively harder from day to day. Typically, um, even year one, it got progressively harder, I think, each passing day. And like I remember the first rally, I think it was like day two. We had day one. Ooh, everything was great. We went out, we found some checkpoints. And then day two was like you had to choose. We didn't have X checkpoints at that time, but we had to choose. You can go over here and get these blues, or which were like, 2, 3, checkpoints 2 and 3, or you had to go and get checkpoints 4 and 5, which were blacks over here. And these were more points, of course, And and so it was like it was like, ooh, we have to choose. We don't just get all the checkpoints. Okay. And so that was like the first twist.
Yeah.
um, but but it's always been progressive throughout the week for the most part. Most rallies, and I have told rookies this in the past, and after this past year, the 2023 rally, I won't be saying this anymore, is like usually we get a princess day. Usually we get like, uh, there's a day, maybe it's day 4 or day 5 where it's kind of a little bit lighter and fluffier, and we get to go have fun and kind of catch our breath a little bit, and um, there was not that this year. There was no Princess Day.
No.
I don't remember any Princess Day.
Yeah, and it was the most tired. Even the first year when I wrecked the truck and we were just wiped and we didn't get to base camp till like 8 o'clock that night or whatever. I mean, even then I was more tired at the end of day 6 than I've ever been on the rally this year. Like coming out of Johnson Valley, coming into Glamis, and just feeling like I am wiped. So
Yeah. It was hard.
yeah.
If there was one memorable story from all of your years that tops the charts, what would it be?
Oh my gosh. One?
It could be good, bad, or ugly.
Ooh, good, bad, or ugly. There's probably at least one of each, right?
Well, you
Yeah.
can keep going. I mean, we could have one of each.
And we could have one of each, yeah. Well, I told you about, of course, our famous blue two wide miss blues this past year. Historically, Tara Lynn and I, as a rule, what we wide miss on our blues, not blacks. Which everybody's like,
Okay.
how do you wide miss a blue? Well, let me tell you. No. um, so a couple of these, involve blues, and the uh the year, oh gosh, was it 2021, I think. What year was it? Avis, were you there when we went to the Fish Lake Hot Springs, Fish Lake Valley Hot Springs?
No.
Okay, so
No.
that must have been
Oh, wait. Was I? I think I was. That
okay.
was 22.
Was it 22? Okay. So, the I drive up through that area, going back and forth to Northern California all the time, and so I knew exactly where we were, and so when we left the hot springs that morning, and she showed me on the map, oh, we're going down here, our checkpoint 2 is whatever is down here. I was like, okay, cool. I said, I know where we're going. You can just relax, and when I get to that turn, I'll tell you so that you can then we can measure and do navigator stuff, right? And so, we're all cocky, and, we've had a great couple of days, and I'm like, I know where we are. And so we drove on down there, and I turned on this road, and then she's like, oh, okay. It's like 1.8 kilometers or whatever. And so we drive 1.8 kilometers, and we're looking, and there's no blue flag, and there's no blue flag. And we see all these teams going back and forth, and we're like, well, obviously the flag's gone. Somebody stole the flag or something, because we know where we are. So I clicked, and then it was wrong. It didn't match the coordinates. So we're like, ah, so no, actually, no, it didn't match the coordinates. We were so cocky that we knew where we were. I called in and said, hey, we just clicked, but the flag isn't here, and there's all these other teams looking, and apparently the flag's gone. And you could hear Phil smirking on the phone, the dispatch going like, you're not where you think you are, which is rebel speak for, hey, dumbass, double check your map. uh,
Yeah, yeah. They're amazingly good at giving you information without giving you
right,
information.
right,
Because
exactly.
per the rules, they're not supposed to,
Right, they're
give you
rocks.
anything
Right,
right. But obviously, they need to let you know, yeah,
right.
try again.
Um, and so that was a lesson in don't be cocky, it's like you gotta do your due diligence, or even when you're in an area you're familiar with, you gotta know, gotta do your stuff. So
Yeah.
and I've told Emily that too. She's like, "Is it weird when you go back to areas that you've been before, like Johnson Valley and places like that?" And I'm like, "No, I mean, honestly, you could set checkpoints like in my backyard and it would still be a challenge. I still have to use my navigation skills to find them, right?" So, yeah.
Yeah. I think the advantage comes when, like, you've been to an area and you can look at the map and be like, "Okay, yeah, I know that's what this is on the map,"
Right,
or, like Glamis, there's radio towers that aren't on the map,
right.
but if you've been there before and paid attention,
Yeah,
like, you get your map and you're like, "Okay, here's a radio tower, here's the store, here's the wash road."
right.
So, yeah, I mean, you don't know where the checkpoints are, but familiarity with the area as it relates to the map is
Yeah.
it's gotta feel nice.
Yeah, it's nice when you know that it's like, oh, hey, you're looking at all these lines on the map, and you're like, oh, this road over here, a half a kilometer is really smooth. It's a nice graded road. We can get over there and make better time. That kind of stuff. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, but, I mean, I think too, a lot of rookies will be like, "Well, that's an advantage." Well, yes, it's an advantage based on time put into the rally,
Yeah. Yeah.
like,
You've earned it.
time in the seat,
Yeah.
training time, so, yeah, I mean, I I don't know why that came to mind, but yeah, just, a lot of people want to say that the rookie versus the seasoned competitor, if you will, like the seasoned competitor has advantages. Well, yes, because more seat time, more hours. Like, how many Rebel hours do you have under your belt, Nina?
Oh my gosh. Just competing in the Rebel, not
Yeah,
training. Yeah. I
competing
can't even
hours.
tell you
Yeah,
training, but so, let's see, this is the ninth Rebel Rally, so this will be my 8th because I skipped 2019. So I've done 7, and that's 7 days, 49 days, well, 8 days if you count prologue, right? So 56 days of rally, and what do you average? 8 or 10 hours a day?
we'll call it 10,
Yeah, so that would be
just for easy
50
math.
560 hours.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I have 160.
yeah,
I have 16 days. 10 hours a day. So,
yeah,
just by comparison, that's amazing.
yeah,
And then, like you said, training, like, who even knows?
yeah.
So, when it comes to training, do you think, you and Tara Lynn, like, how often do you get together? How do you train independently? Do you require as much training now that you're, a confident, secure team?
So, yeah, we train apart and we train together. We only train together, a couple few times a year, but, we talk on the phone. We talk a lot by text and phone calls. You know, Avis, because 'cause you've been part of some of that too, but,
Yeah.
um, uh, and then, it yeah, I mean, so there are skills like, plotting and stuff like that that you can do at home, right? So when we train, we're typically taking specific aspects, sometimes, um, like I mentioned earlier about, doing the timed enduros together. And so, we're gonna really maybe we're gonna really fine tune, let's work on that communication, like Lizzie was saying, is that like, so we did a couple of years, of rally together, and then we talked about like how can we reduce the stress in the car. And so last year, she started playing with her voice, and instead of being like, okay, we're coming up to a four-way intersection, we're gonna be taking a left, and there's gonna be a tree on the far side, she'd be like, okay, we're gonna be coming up to a four-way intersection, there will be a tree on the far side. And I started laughing because it's just like, oh, I just felt so good in the car now. Just all she did was like, I was like, is this helping you? Because this is helping me. She's like, yeah, it's helping me too. So it was like just bringing the intensity down. It caused a little bit less sweaty palms. Talking about enduros and stuff. So those are the kinds of things like what can we do better? What do we need to work on? And then there's just
Mhm.
the overall practice. I mean, you can always go practice hunting checkpoints together, right? and that's just fun.
Yeah.
So,
Last year, I really put effort into trying to accomplish that, and I'm a very, like, reactive person, so it was hard, but I do feel like, compared to my first year, I did much better, and so I will, of course, continue that this year, but
yeah.
yeah, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, nice.
I
Um,
got to keep working on that one.
There
but
you
I, on the other hand, you can be reactive with me, and it's fine. Because
go.
I've been reactive my whole life. All right, so we have this little game we like to play with people, and it's called Fast Money. There's no money involved, but you have to be fast. So I'm gonna set a 1-minute timer, and I'm gonna ask you 10 questions, and your goal is just to answer them with, first thing that pops to mind.
Uh-oh,
Some of them are multiple choice, some of them require a little bit of thinking.
cool. So, like,
Are you ready?
this, like, word association game or something almost?
No, just questions.
Okay. Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. The first car you ever owned that was really yours.
68, Ford Mustang.
Oh, desert or mountains?
Desert.
Oceans or lakes?
Oceans.
How many pairs of Vans do you own?
Pairs of Vans? 0.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Drive or navigate?
Driver, I guess, yeah.
Okay. And then this one, do the dunes excite you or terrify you?
Excite.
Hamburgers or sushi?
Sushi. Ooh, can we
Ooh.
have both, though?
Now you have to pick one.
Okay.
How many tattoos do you have?
1.
Oh. And how many states have you been to?
Ooh, wow. I that's not something I've tracked. 30-ish, maybe? I'm not
30-ish.
sure,
Okay.
yeah.
Nice. All right. Just under the time. Um, yeah, so how do you get to that point? I know you grew up sort of driving in the dunes, but how do you get to that point where it's exciting and not terrifying? I took your 7-day class. I came in having 0 skill and left having a competency level I didn't know was achievable in 7 days.
Awesome.
So how do you get there?
So let me ask you, was terror how you would describe, your feeling about the dunes before that? Like, of you
Yes.
driving the dunes was terror?
Yes, actually, one of the first days we were over in Buttercup, and we took a rest, and then you took off up this dune, and then people started following you, and I was gripping the steering wheel, and I looked at Alex, and I was like, "Are we supposed to do that?" And she said, "Yes, get your fucking gear." And I was like, "Okay." Yeah, yeah, terror,
Alright,
complete terror.
and then, by day 7, the end of day 7, how would you describe it?
Yeah, I was like, "Where do you wanna go in the dunes, Liz? We can get there."
It
Awesome,
was
Like,
impressive.
we yeah, we might not be able to get there the route that Nena would take, but we can get there.
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Um,
But terrifying, like, is still, like, I'm sure when I go back, there's more level of terrified than excitement.
yeah.
I'm now competently terrified, I guess you might say.
Um, so, the important thing and it doesn't just apply to the dunes, but the important thing is to always have a healthy fear of the terrain, because any of it can bite you in the butt. And we see this all the time in the rental business too. It's like it's not the biggest, nastiest thing, um, that wreck on. It's like the easy thing that you weren't paying attention to. I mean, that's exactly what happened to me the first year. It was like we finished the Dumont Dunes, nailed our checkpoints, and then I biffed it, when we were like on our way out to the green.
Yeah,
And so you always want to respect the terrain no matter where you're at, and that's especially true for the dunes, because you're moving with a little bit more momentum and speed, and so it kind of increases the potential, um, consequences as well, right? So,
Mm.
uh, I think it's and I think I still go out and do things out there, where like, okay, I'm going to try some. I'm going to push myself a little bit. I'm like, I'm going to see if I can make it up that, you know. In the rally, though, it's all business. In the rally, Tara Lynn has to sit there and hear me say, "Don't drive like Nena. Don't drive like Nena. Drive." I say, drive like Barlow. Barlow Adventures is the responsible business entity, and then there's Nena going out and playing. So it's like,
Yeah.
don't drive like Nena. Don't drive like Nena. And then sometimes she'll be like, "You're gonna have to drive this one like Nena."
Nice. Well, I'm sure I'm not the only one when I'm out there in the dunes is picturing you in my head for inspiration.
Aw, awesome. So,
Well, on that note, we've been at this for an hour, ladies, and
ooh,
so we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Nina, I thank you so very much for coming on and discussing with us today. And
it was fun.
so if somebody wants to find you at Barlow Adventures, how would they do that?
So it's barlows.us is our website.
Okay.
And of course, we're active on Instagram and Facebook too. Barlow underscore adventures is our Instagram handle. And yeah, I'm easy to find. The Rebel Rally prepping page, on Facebook.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, and we'll catch you again.
All right. Thank you. It's fun.
Bye.
Bye, ladies.